sometimes the unexpected happens, which is that when Mitsotakis, he's the prime minister of Greece, he's in his second term now, he's center right. When he was reelected, I had a very emotional conversation with a friend of mine who was saying she's really concerned in particular about the gay community in Greece, how they're treated, particularly on the right, particularly because it is an Orthodox Christian country. And that she was really upset when Mitsotakis got reelected. And I was telling her, like, look, I'm not saying you need to be pro Mitsotakis, but, you know, he did indicate that he was going to pass legislation for gay marriage in his second term. And there are signs that that wasn't just lip service because, first of all, he's on the right. So there's no really need for him to say that unless he means it. And second of all, Mitsotakis is no fool, and he sees where the EU is going as a whole. He sees, I'm sure, that there are legal cases being made in the European Courts of Human Rights, where the European Courts of Human Rights is telling EU member countries that don't have gay marriage or that don't have at least civil partnerships that they're going to have to make sure that all of their citizens have equality, you know, to stay in the EU. And he kind of saw where the wind is going. And much like this conversation that we had with Steve Inskeep about Lincoln being very shrewd and making tactical decisions, I think Mitsotakis saw an opportunity here where he can get his country in line with the greater EU policies. And it's politically expedient for him because I think he thinks he can control the costs on the right. And it kind of sticks it to the left here because they're having their own kind of breakdown right now about having elected their first gay party leader. The left is different than the left in the US. They're not sort of pro forma gay rights. So they elected their first gay leader, and that kind of led to all these divisions in the party. So it's a good moment for Mitsotakis to be like, I'm going to, you know, burnish my credentials as a moderate voice of both the right and the left.
Greece legalized same-sex marriage on Thursday, making it one of the first Orthodox Christian countries to allow them.
Ναι, 176.
The country's parliament approved the bill, with more than two-thirds of its 254 lawmakers voting yes.
When I say that whole story, you know, people might not be that interested in what's going on in Greece right now, but I say the whole story in that, again, it behooves us to think about not just the facts that are like pro our fears, but the facts that are anti, and to analyze them in this kind of cool-headed way.
Right. The fact that things often surprise for the best and not for the worst. And when you're in a good mood, you somewhat expect those surprises. You're like, oh, things will be fine. But when you're in a bad mood individually or culturally, it seems inconceivable that things could actually get better or improve, or that people could surprise you by following, and we'll shout back at Inskeep and Avalon, as Lincoln said, the better angels of our natures, right? And, you know, that is there. We tend to lose sight of it. And, you know, look, Greece at the time of 2011, when they were potentially going to be crashed out of the European Union because of the debt crisis, and you had the rise of the far right, like kind of the neo-Nazi far right in Greece, there was a palpable fear that would be the next government, you know, a kind of government that would make Marine Le Pen and the French far right look totally moderate by comparison. What were they? The Golden Dawn? Was that the name of the party?
Golden Dawn, the infamous Golden Dawn slap. Yes, not the Will Smith slap, the Golden Dawn slap.
But I mean, they were like getting double-digit figures of the vote and in a fractured coalition. That was 11 years ago or 12 years ago. So I try to remind people of it's astonishing how quickly things can change, both from good to bad and bad to good. And, you know, summer of 1989, there were plenty of people at Moscow State University getting their degrees in Marxist-Leninist thought who thought that they had bright careers ahead of them as apparatchiks of a stolid, maybe crumbling, but still stable empire. And that evaporated pretty quickly, much more quickly than people would have thought. And I just think, you know, things change. It never feels like they're going to change when you're in the middle of it, but they really do.